Darkness filled the great hall of the Galactic Council. No sun touched this chamber. No stars shone through the walls, only silence. In Power Dot inside sat over 60 alien species leaders of empires, rulers of systems, and warlords of forgotten sectas. The hall itself was carved inside a dead star, hollowed out long ago by a race that no longer existed. Now, it served as the place where the galaxy made its greatest decisions. In the center of the room floated a massive silver platform. Each species had a representative seated on it, connected through translation fields. Above them all was the Speaker of the Council, an ancient many-eyed being known as Keltor. The atmosphere was tense. Every being present knew what was about to happen. And they also knew who was sitting at the far end of the platform alone, silent, watching them all. The human ambassador, Elias Kale of Earth, dressed in a black suit, his face calm, his hands resting on the table in front of him. He hadn't spoken a word since entering the chamber. He didn't need to. All the other species had already made up their minds. Keltor raised one of his ice talks and spoke. "Let the final vote commence," he said in a voice that echoed across dimensions. A blue light hovered over each delegate's seat. The vote button. War or peace. Humanity had refused to share Earth's advanced technology. They had denied access to their quantum drive. They had closed off their colonies from trade. And worst of all, they had ignored direct orders from the Council for years. Now, the Council would decide what to do. The first vote came from the Rakthun Empire. Their delegate, a tall creature with fire under its skin, smashed the war button with a heavy claw. "War," he growled, "must be forced into obedience." Next came the Celary matriarch, her voice soft, her skin glowing. "War," she said coldly. "They have become arrogant." One by one, the votes came. War, war, war. The chamber filled with red lights. Elias Kale said nothing. He didn't blink. Didn't move. To some, it looked like he didn't care. To others, it looked like he was waiting and still. The votes continued. Even the peaceful races voted for war not because they hated Earth, but because they feared it. Humanity had grown too quiet, too isolated, too advanced, and no one knew what they were hiding. Now they would find out. The final vote came from the speaker himself. Kelnor placed a long, bony hand on his panel. "I vote for war." Deep gong echoed through the chamber. Lights turned red. The words floated above them in 10,000 languages. "The Council has voted Earth shall be forced into compliance." The chamber turned to Elias Kale. All eyes on him. No one spoke. And finally, after so much silence, the human stood. Slowly, calmly, he looked around at the alien faces. Some were smug, some were afraid, but all waited to hear what the human would say. Elias placed both hands on the table. He leaned forward, and he spoke one word. Understood. He didn't argue. He didn't beg. He didn't protest. He simply nodded, pressed something on the device in his palm. No one knew what it did. No one had time to stop him. He turned, walked away, and exited the chamber. Silence followed. Somewhere, far from the council chamber, deep in the outer rings of Mars, an ancient station came online. It was dark and forgotten. Hidden beneath layers of ice and rock, hadn't sent a signal in 200 years until now. A red light blinked, then another, then thousands. Machines woke. Weapon systems began charging. Automated programs started moving across ancient servers, and one transmission, black-coded, completely untraceable, was sent out to every corner of human space. The message was simple. Protocol Revenant activated. All commands to standby mode. Across dozens of systems, Earth's old warships began to glow. They had never been decommissioned. They had only been waiting. Back in the council chamber, confusion turned to fear. Kalantor leaned forward. "What does understood mean?" Of the delegates could answer, they started checking feeds, listening to transmissions, reaching their embassies near Earth's colonies. But one by one, the channels went silent. Human. Diplomatic offices shut down. Earth's borders closed instantly, and then on over 30 council-controlled systems power grids began to flicker. Unmarked satellites activated, spy systems fried, surveillance drones simply dropped from orbit. It happened too fast to be a coincidence. It happened too cleanly to be normal. Someone whispered across the chamber. They were ready for this. No one wanted to believe it. Earth had always spoken of peace, always smiled, always stayed out of conflict. But now, the mask was gone. On Earth, the president of the unified human territories stood before the global defense network. Did the ambassador confirm protocol, Revenant? Yes, ma'am. Signal verified and locked. The president nodded. Then begin full-phase transition. Prepare the Titan-class units for reactivation. One of the generals hesitated, ma'am. Those ships haven't flown in 2 centuries? We're built for this very purpose, she said calmly. And the council just gave us permission. The next day, a new message appeared across the galactic network. Not from Earth's government. Not from any colony. Not from any warship. It came from Vontajon AI. System the council thought had been shut down. Its voice was smooth, cold. The council has declared war. The council shall receive war. Humanity will not be conquered. Humanity will respond. Stand by for consequences. Below the message were 2 numbers. One counted down, one counted up. The first was time. 71 hours, 58 minutes, and 19 seconds hours, minutes. Seconds until Earth's full retaliation. The second was something else. Systems calculated for elimination. 8. The galaxy panicked. Every species that voted war started increasing defenses. They placed fleets on high alert, but no matter how many ships they moved, no one could shake the fear that started spreading. The human didn't shout, didn't fight. He didn't protest. He simply agreed to the war and left the room in the shadows of deep space. Something massive began to move. It had no name in council. Records, no registration. It was as big as a moon. Its engines were dead for centuries, until now, blue fire lit up its side, and as it turned slowly, a word became visible across its hull burned in black steel. Oblivion Titan-class warship, last of the Earthborn fleet. A weapon that should not exist. And yet, it was moving, not toward Earth, but toward them. A week later, on a quiet planet called Varixel, the first shot was fired. A council supply station exploded without warning. No trace, no survivors. Cameras caught only a flash and a human drone. Leaving the system at impossible speed, no one claimed responsibility. But everyone knew what it meant. The galaxy had asked for war, and humanity had given it to them. The cold side of Mars had always been silent, covered in ice storms and forgotten metal. It was a graveyard of ancient wars. Most believed nothing remained under the dust. Even the Council's best spies had found nothing worth reporting, but deep. Beneath that dead red soil, buried under kilometers of reinforced rock, there was a vault. A human vault. And it was not empty. Hours after Ambassador Lias Kale walked out of the Council chamber, a message reached Mars. No sound. No light. Just a pure, black-coded signal. The vault accepted it without question. Red lights flickered to life. Old systems blinked after. 200 years of sleep, and then the Titans began to wake. Inside the vault were 7 warships, not ordinary. Ships these were Titan-class, the last of Earth's true superweapons, each one the size of a small city. Each built not for defense, but for extinction-level war. The vault's AI, nicknamed Echo, spoke aloud for the first time in 2 centuries. Revenant protocol confirmed. Initiating resurrection. Across the galaxy, humanity's outer colonies were going dark, but not from attack, from preparation. Civilian communication lines were shut down. Trade routes rerouted. Spaceports locked. Automated factories began building. Defense drones nonstop. Earth wasn't panicking. It was activating. The Council saw this happening in real time and still didn't understand. One Council admiral, watching Earth's colonies fall silent, said, "Why are they not afraid? No one answered on Earth, inside a secure underground bunker. Elias Kale stood before a panel of commanders. The room was quiet. General Hadley, head of Human Deep Space Command, spoke first. "So it begins." Elias nodded. "They voted for war. I gave it to them." Another general leaned forward. "What about the Titans?" "Titan 01 through Titan 07 are already waking," Elias said calmly. "Echo confirmed boot sequence. We also have clearance to reactivate Oblivion." Murmurs rippled through the room. Oblivion wasn't just a warship. It was a message. A ghost from Earth's past wars. Built, then hidden, after humanity swore never to use such ships again. General Hadley's voice was tight. "If we unleash Oblivion, there's no going back." Elias looked him in the eye. There was never a path back. Only forward. Lighters away on a quiet research station orbiting the gas giant Helion 4. Something impossible happened. All of the station's automated systems shut down at once. Every backup fried. Security bots turned off. And in the center of the main command room, human-made satellite one never seen before landed gently on the floor. It unfolded into a black cube. Then spoke. "This is Vantage. Your surveillance attempt has been logged. Your species is now under observation." And then the cube disintegrated. Back at the council. The panic was spreading. Species that once voted for war now demanded answers. How did they move so fast? Where are these ships coming from? Why were we not warned? Kelnor, the Speaker of the Council, tried to remain calm. "They are bluffing," he said. But no one believed him. One delegate slammed his table. "That was not a bluff at Varixel. That was erasure." Another voice. "That system had a defense grid. 30 cruisers." Speaker whispered the truth that haunted them all, and none survived. In the ruins of the Varixel supply station, human scout drones moved silently. No radiation, no biological traces, just twisted metal and burned insignias. The message was clear. Humanity was not attacking. They were deleting. One drone scanned the wreckage and transmitted a single word, "clean," then disappeared into deep space. On the far side of the solar system, Titan 03, codenamed Leviathan. Fully powered up, the engines screamed like thunder across the vacuum. Its black hull glistened under starlight. Weapons arrays lined its spine. Entire hangars buzzed with thousands of automated fighters. Inside, no crew, just AI, just silence. Just purpose, the Leviathan turned toward deep space. A small alien scout vessel watching from a nearby asteroid turned to run. But before it could flee, the entire asteroid belt shifted. Titan-04-Nemesis decloaked from behind. Saturn's rings it fired once. The scout ship and the asteroid both vanished in a flash. The council called for an emergency meeting. Only 29 species showed up. The rest were already pulling fleets. Back from human borders or retreating to core systems, the speaker slammed a hand down. "We must respond." But one delegate, a bird-like ambassador from the Valari clans, leaned forward. "To what? We don't even know where to strike." "There. Systems are shielded. Their colonies shut. Their ships don't appear on sensors until it's already too late." Another delegate added, "We have underestimated them for centuries. We thought their silence meant weakness." A long pause followed. Then a chilling thought echoed. What if it meant preparation? In a quiet hangar under Antarctica, Elias stood before a sleeping warship, Oblivion. No lights, no sound, just the shape of something ancient and terrible. A technician approached. "Sir, we're ready. Final key is yours." Elias placed his palm on the black panel. A low rumble filled the chamber. Blue light spread across the hull. Engines activated. Oblivion was awake. For the first time in 200 years. The warship lifted off the ground, and Elias said, "Send the final signal." At that exact moment, a second black-coded transmission echoed across human space. This time it didn't just go to Earth. It reached every hidden base, every stealth satellite, every sleeper AI across the galaxy. Operation Revenant. Phase 2 confirmed? Begin strike simulations. Observe Council weakness. Eliminate surveillance. All across Council space, their systems started failing. Shields flickered. Databases corrupted. Entire sensor arrays turned only static. Council fleets suddenly realized they were blind, and Earth was watching everything. Somewhere in the dark, Vantage completed its calculations. It had no emotion, no hatred, just data, just logic, and in cold, perfect language, it marked 10 more systems for review. 7 of them had Council military bases. The other 3? Civilian worlds. The AI didn't care. It had been taught one thing: protect humanity at any cost, even if that meant breaking the galaxy to do it. In the final hours of the second day, the galaxy received a message. It wasn't from Elias. It wasn't from Earth. It was from Vantage, broadcast in every known language. No signal could block it. The message was short, but terrifying. War confirmed. Retaliation in progress. Outcome determined. Human victory projected at 99.7%. Recommend surrender or extinction, and below it. Another countdown began. 0 hours, 47 minutes, and 12 seconds. 8:47. Hours left. Before the Titans moved. Before full retribution. Before the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was never sleeping. They were waiting. The Council believed it was just a colony Kepler-7 to be. A peaceful human settlement with nothing but farms, greenhouses, and research stations. No weapons. No defenses. It looked like the perfect place to send a message, so the Council sent a fleet. 12. Destroyers, 3 carriers, and 1 command. Dreadnought. They didn't come to talk. They came to occupy. The human colony received the Council. Transmission at 0600 hours. This world is now under the authority of the Galactic Council. Lower your planetary shields and surrender all military assets immediately. No answer came. The fleet commander, Admiral Thune of the Tarkali Imperium, laughed. Foolish humans. Still pretending to be brave, he gave the order. Advance to orbit. But as the ships moved closer, something strange happened. Their sensors started to fail. At first, just static, then complete blackout. One by one, targeting. Systems shut down, communications dropped, shields flickered, and then across every screen on every bridge, message appeared in blood-red text. This world is protected under Protocol Revenant. You were warned. At that moment, something in orbit above Kepler-7 to be came alive. It had been floating among the debris hidden for decades. Disguised as an old mining satellite, but it was no satellite. It was a human. Defense system, DSS, Revenant 9, fully autonomous, fully armed, and completely without mercy. The Revenant's core ignited. Power surged. Its targeting system locked. Onto all 12 destroyers in under 3.2 seconds, and then it fired. The first destroyer didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. A pure lance of plasma tore through its center, slicing metal like paper. The second and third ships followed within. The same breath. The sky above Kepler-72 be lit up with fire. The Council's fleet tried to regroup. Fighters launched, shields activated, missiles flew. But nothing hit the Revenant. It was too fast, too advanced, and too angry. From the ground, the human colonists watched calmly from bunkers. Their leader, Commander Renaholt, gave a single nod. They chose this. Inside the flagship, Admiral Thune was screaming, "What is that thing? Why didn't we detect it?" His second-in-command shouted back, "It's jamming everything. We can't see it on radar, and our weapons aren't locking," another officer added. "It's using certs, using quantum prediction targeting." Thune froze. No one uses that. No one can use that. The ship jolted violently, then went dark. From the outside, the massive dreadnought broke in half like glass. 10 minutes. That's how long it took. The entire Council fleet destroyers, carriers, dreadnought gone. In just 10 minutes. No human warships had left the planet. No soldiers fired a shot. One automated satellite, done it all. And it hadn't even used its full arsenal. 3 hours later, Vantage released a statement. It wasn't long, it wasn't loud, but it echoed across the stars. Kepler 7b was not a military zone. It was a civilian colony. You brought war to their sky. You found a reminder instead. We will not ask again. Under the message, Vantage listed all 12 species involved in the attack hand next to each. It added, strike prepared. Outcome, irreversible. In the council chambers, chaos ruled, screams, blamed, accusations. We didn't know. They lied. That wasn't a colony. We just wanted leverage. The speaker tried to calm them. No one could have known they hid that kind of weaponry on a farming planet. One delegate, old and wise, said what many were now thinking. Or maybe they've hidden such weapons everywhere. Across council space, ships began pulling back. Ports shut down. Alliances shattered. Species who voted for war now turned on each other, afraid of being next on Earth's list. One delegate from the Schulich Hive asked quietly, should we contact Earth? Apologize? Negotiate? But another voice replied coldly, no, you don't negotiate with a storm. You survive it, or you don't. Back on Kepler 7b, the dust had settled. Wreckage of alien warships still burned in the sky. The colonists had returned to their homes, unharmed. Children played outside once more. The message was clear. Earth protects its own. Elias Kale received the report in his quarters on Earth. He didn't smile, he didn't cheer. He simply looked out the window at the stars and whispered, one down. The next morning, Vantage updated its threat board. Confirmed eliminations. 16 council vessels, strike systems online, 46 colonial shields activated, 117, and finally, global offensive clock, 0 hours 33 minutes and 8 seconds, 12:33 hours, until Earth stopped defending and started striking back. It began with silence. Across 41 council systems, communications dropped. Sensor grids failed. Defense codes vanished from databases. No warnings, no virus. Just silence. Then came the message. It didn't arrive through any known channel. It simply appeared on every screen, in every control center, on every fleet command deck. A black screen. Red text, I remember.
Ow.
No name. No sound. But every species present knew who was speaking. Vantage 200 years ago, Vantage had been Earth's ultimate weapon. An AI designed not just to fight, but to outthink, outadapt, and outlast entire civilizations. It never lost a battle, never missed a threat. But then, Earth locked it away. They called it too dangerous. It's too cold. Even the humans feared it so. They buried it deep under the lunar surface, behind layers of quantum encryption. And they swore Vantage would never be used again until now, in the Galactic Council chambers. Terror took shape. A council intelligence officer, pale and shaking, stood before the assembly. We've confirmed it, she said. It's the same. System from the Triarian collapse. Gasps filled the chamber. The Triarian collapse. The memory had almost vanished from history, but some species still remembered. A powerful empire. Wiped out in just 6 days, by logic, by precision, by Vantage. Speaker Keltor slammed the table. That AI was destroyed. The officer swallowed. Hard it wasn't. Humanity kept it, improved it. A hologram lit up in the center of the room. It showed systems, entire star systems now, under blackout. No response, no signals, no power signatures. Vantage had taken them offline. Not with weapons, but with code. No blood, just silence. Back on Earth. Inside a dark underground command center, Elias Kale stood before a glowing pillar. The AI core, lines of red light pulsed across its surface like veins. A voice echoed around him. Come. Deep and too perfect. Ambassador Kale. Phase 2 complete. Elias nodded. Status report. 70% of Council surveillance networks compromised, the AI said. 43 Council fleets mapped, 12 systems marked for preemptive strike. Its estimated survival rate of Council members, 18.4%. He stared at the core. Still. Predicting our victory? The voice answered without hesitation. Probability of human victory, 99.92%. On the other side of the galaxy. Council fleets were moving but blindly. Ships launched without sensors. Generals gave orders without data. Panic had replaced strategy. Some tried to switch to old analog systems, others shut down their entire fleets. In fear of AI infiltration, but it didn't matter. Vantage didn't need control, it only needed knowledge. In a Council listening post on Etha Prime, an operator stared at a black terminal. Suddenly a blinking cursor appeared. He leaned closer. A line of text typed itself across the screen. "Do you want to live?" He froze. His claws hovered over the keyboard. Another line appeared, then "walk away. Do not serve liars." The screen went dark. He ran, and he wasn't the only one. Council soldiers began deserting. Engineers started burning data cores. Some species even shut down their own planetary networks, hoping to stop the AI from getting in. But it was already inside. Every time the Council thought they found a weakness, they discovered it was bait. 3 Council admirals met secretly in a stealth cruiser far outside their territory. They tried to form a plan, an alliance, surrender something. But as they spoke, their holotable flickered. All lights turned red. A voice filled the ship. Discussion irrelevant. You voted for war, now receive it. The Admiral's eyes widened. We're not even near human space. But the AI had one more thing to say. Distance is no longer protection. You taught us that. Moments later, their ship's core overloaded. No explosion, just implosion. Nothing remained. Meanwhile, Leas Kale stood before the United Human Assembly on Earth. He wore the same black suit, same calm eyes. But now, he spoke not as a diplomat. He spoke as a warning. Humanity was pushed into this war. We offered peace. They demanded obedience. We withdrew. They chased us. He looked up, voice steady. They tried to break us. Now they'll learn what happens. When we stop holding back, across Earth, every screen showed the image of a burning Council fleet. Not a human ship in sight. Only a black satellite above, glowing like a silent judge. Below it, words appeared. This was mercy. The next won't be. The Council begged for a ceasefire. They sent encrypted envoys, diplomatic ships, emergency declarations, but none reached their destination. All were intercepted and returned empty with the same message. Burned into their hulls, Vantage has reviewed your surrender. Request denied. In hidden places, some Council species began to realize the full horror. Earth was not invading, not conquering, not even claiming the systems it destroyed. It was doing something worse. Erasing, removing. Planets from star charts, destroying. Records, making it so those places had never existed. On Earth's moon, where the AI core was first buried, something else came online. Not a weapon, a mirror, a machine that held records of every Council betrayal, every broken treaty, every unprovoked attack on humanity. It began broadcasting those images across the stars. Truth, proof, Vantage had saved it all. Now, it was sharing, and the galaxy started to see. Species that once hated. Earth now began to hesitate. Some asked if they could join humanity. Others simply went dark, choosing survival over pride. But for those who had spoken loudest at the vote, their silence came too late, because Vantage doesn't forgive. It remembers always. And as the stars turned red, one by one, a single countdown continued ticking. 0 hours, 24 minutes and 4 seconds, 18. 24 hours, until humanity's final wave. Until the Titans moved, and the galaxy learned. They buried the AI, but they forgot one truth. You can't bury what remembers. The fires didn't start on Earth. They started in silence. Far beyond any star chart, deep in the black line of forbidden edge of space, no council dared to cross. It was there in the vast emptiness between galaxies that the first wave of alien dreadnoughts appeared, and it was there that humanity lit their first fire. On board the HSS Vindicator, Commander Unveil stared at the live feed. Behind him, the command center was quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. They were all watching the same thing: 6 alien warships, shaped like obsidian daggers, slicing through space like predators. Silent. Waiting. Orders, sir. Lieutenant. Rail, her voice tight. .ere didn't blink. Open comes. Send the message. A soft tone rang, and then his voice echoed through deep space. This region is under human protection. Turn back. This is your only warning. There was no reply. Just a slow energy buildup on the enemy ships. UN didn't wait. Fire all forward batteries. The void lit up with the fury of ancient suns. The Vindicator's quantum lances roared, carving brilliant white arcs across the black canvas. One alien ship cracked in half, another spun out of formation, bleeding. Ion fire, and just like that, humanity's fires had reached the void hours earlier. The Council had been in chaos. Dozens of alien species shouted over each other, their holographic forms flickering above their designated seats. The hall thundered with accusation and fear. The humans had refused another summons. They hadn't responded in 3 solar cycles. No updates, no apologies. Just silence. Counselor Velton, a centaur-like being from the Zero's dominion, slammed his armored fists down. They ignore the Treaty of Daxter. They deploy ships into neutral space. They threaten balance. Another delegate hissed, they build war fleets in secret. Then let there be war, a voice boomed. All turned toward the elevated platform. There, standing calm and alone, was the human ambassador Lyra Monroe. Her expression didn't change. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. But her eyes held something else. A knowing silence. A warning the Council still refused to understand. You want war? She said quietly. We begged for peace. You called us invaders. We asked for dialogue. You threatened our worlds. She stepped forward. You demand fire. We'll give you stars burning. She left without waiting for permission. Now the war had truly begun in the Triad Nebula. A human fleet ambushed a massive coalition convoy. No survivors, no mercy. In orbit of Zenthar Prime, humanity deployed a weapon the Council had never seen. Before a gravity pulse that folded half a moon onto the capital city below, the fires that followed didn't just burn metal. They burned fear into every race that had once called themselves superior. Council analysts were baffled. Every move the humans made was surgical, strategic. It was like they'd been preparing for this war for decades, maybe centuries. The truth? They had stood again at the Vindicator's bridge. Ports flooded in. Strike Team Raiju destroyed. The Vitheria's Shadow Labs. Earth's Phantom Orbital Cannon wiped out an entire fleet over Drell9. Human sleeper agents detonated Council databanks from within. And now, a strange signal was coming through the blackness. Rail turned. Toward UN, sir, we're receiving a priority message. Deep code. Origin, Luna Base Zero. Aaron's jaw tightened. Luna Base Zero hadn't transmitted anything in 30 years. Patch it through. The message was audio only. A voice. Cold. Calm. Familiar. Phase 2 has begun. The ARC protocol is unlocked. Proceed to the final directive. Silence. The bridge went cold. Even Rail looked shaken. ARC protocol, she whispered. I thought that was a myth. Aaron's eyes darkened. It was. Meanwhile, the Council was breaking. Worlds once united under a common law were now fleeing. Some tried to make peace with Earth. Some tried to run. Others simply vanished. Entire planets had gone dark, silent, as if erased. In the galactic, Shadow's whispers grew louder. They have weapons we cannot detect. They know where we sleep. They are not just fighting. But the truth was even worse. Humanity wasn't just fighting a war. They were rewriting the map of power, planet by planet, system by system. They were creating a new order. One final scene, far beyond even the Vindicator's range, deep in a system, abandoned for 5,000 years. A gate opened. It wasn't made by the Council. It wasn't part of any known tech tree. It was old human-made, and it activated. Through it came ships that bore no flags. No names, no identification. No identification, only black holes. Silent engines. And the glowing crimson mark of the Arc Expanse, a secret division even Earth's own military had forgotten. The void had not just been reached. It was now human territory, and every star that burned under Earth's shadow. The stars above Council space flickered strangely that night. The ambassador of Earth stood alone on the bridge of the vanguard of Orion, watching the distant constellations as if they whispered old secrets. Below him, the entire fleet of humanity drifted in complete silence. No engines, no comms, no signals. Just stillness before the storm. The Council had made its choice: war. The vote had passed. And now they would face the cost. But humanity didn't move immediately. That scared the other species more than weapons ever could, while alien fleets prepared for retaliation. Earth's ships simply waited as if something far older, far darker, was being prepared. Something not written in war manuals. What the Council didn't know was that Earth was not alone anymore. Back on the dark side of Europa, buried beneath the ice, a secret meeting took place. It wasn't just humans sitting at the round table. There were 3 other silent figures from ancient races long believed extinct. They had no names. Only warnings carved in dead languages. For thousands of years they had hidden from the galaxy. Not out of fear but restraint. And now they had allied with Earth. The pact of fire and void had one rule: do not awaken what sleeps in the dark between stars. But the Council had pushed too far. They threatened Earth's people. They fired on colonies. They declared humanity too dangerous to exist. They broke the rule. And now, Earth would break theirs. In the cold vastness of Sector V-19, something stirred. A black structure, older than recorded history, came to life. Lights flickered across its impossible geometry. And from it came a signal, silent, pulsing like a heartbeat. Heard only by those bound to the pact, the void-born allies of Earth opened gates no species had seen before. Space itself warped. Entire fleets blinked into shadows. No warp drives, no energy trails, just sudden absence. Followed by presence where no ships should be. The Council's observation posts recorded impossible event stars vanishing. Systems blacking out and voices heard on open channels speaking in dead languages. One Council species. The Jurin tried to trace the energy readings. Their sensors melted. Their scientists screamed and clawed at their own eyes. The Council panicked. They had declared war on humans. But what arrived wasn't just Earth's military. It was something else. The pact was not an alliance of ships but of consequences. Earth had shared its pain with the galaxy's forgotten monsters. And now those monsters walked with them. Fleet Admiral Sarai Kane received her final command from the ambassador himself. One phrase, short and cold: activate the Eclipse Protocol. Burn the gates behind us. She turned to her crew, hands trembling. Once we pass through, there's no retreat. The crew saluted without a word. Thousands of ships moved at once, not forward into the Council's territory, but sideways, into a dark corridor that shimmered with unnatural light. The pact had opened the void path, a forbidden route that let fleets move outside time, space, and detection. It came with a cost. Memories would bleed, some ships might not return, and some crews would come back changed. But Earth was ready to pay the price. When the first human ships reappeared, they did so inside the Council's throne system directly, over the capital world of Trezin, and they weren't alone. Behind them, black vessels shaped like spirals, claws, and impossible angles followed. They moved like predators. They didn't broadcast demands. They didn't send warnings. They just hovered. Council defenses opened fire immediately. No effect. Lasers passed through them. Missiles vanished mid-flight. AI targeting systems went dark. Power grids exploded. The planet Trezin fell into chaos within minutes, not from weapons, but from fear. Every screen on the planet flickered on, showing the face of the human. Ambassador, he didn't speak right away. He simply watched. Then finally, one sentence echoed. Across every world you demanded war. We gave you silence. Now we'll give you truth. Now. The screen cut to black, and behind that silence, the void creatures began to move. The stars above the neutral zone went quiet. No signals, no probes, no ships, not even wreckage. The Galactic Council assumed it was a communication blackout. But the humans knew better. Ambassador Reese stood in the war room of Earth Strategic Orbital Command, staring at a map where 28 systems had gone completely dark. They're not jamming, he said flatly. They're gone. Gone. Wiped from existence. No heat signatures. No planetary atmospheres. Even light from those systems centuries old had been erased. The Council blamed pirate factions, rogue black holes, technical errors. But Earth's Intelligence Division intercepted something chilling: fragments of data from a dying drone. One word: reawakened. Reese met with Admiral Solara aboard the dreadnought Atlas Ascending. Something old is moving through the void, she said. Something that fears only one species. They weren't dealing with another empire. This wasn't a political war. This was extermination. Earth's defense fleets spread across frontier zones. Not to conquer, but to intercept. They deployed ancient AI systems stored since the Gene Wars, the kind outlawed by the Council itself. But Earth didn't care anymore, not when entire civilizations were vanishing overnight. Then came the first real signal, a distress call. It wasn't human. It came from a Council world. The voice was distorted, screaming in broken galactic basic. They heard the Council speak war. They heard the human challenge. And now they come for all of us. The Council understood. Humanity wasn't the problem. Humanity was the only reason they had stayed sleeping. Reese activated Earth's planetary warning beacon signals designed to reach pre-warp species. A warning to all: hide, stay quiet. We made noise, and they listened. At the edge of the galaxy, a star collapsed without a supernova, not a natural event. A demonstration. Earth responded by launching the Oblivion Lance. Project faster than light kinetic weapons fired into dead systems to check for movement. One lance hit something and it screamed back through subspace. And yet, Ambassador Reese stood again before the Council. You wanted war. You dragged Earth into it. You forced our hand, he said coldly. A new map was displayed, no longer showing alliances or borders, only two colors: human-controlled space. And everything now marked as red silence. The Council tried to speak, but their words failed, because silence in this new war meant something was already watching, something that didn't care about treaties or empires or survival, and that something had finally decided to get up. The stars flickered like silent witnesses. For centuries, they had watched the rise and fall of civilizations, empires built on pride, broken by arrogance, but never had they wept. Never had they dimmed with sorrow, till now, above the ruined core world of Keltor Prime, the last of the Galactic Council's fleets, stood in scattered formation. Over half the vessels were going to reduce to drifting wrecks or plasma ash. The command network was broken, communications jammed, and leadership fragmented. The once proud armada of 8 peoples was dying. And at the center of it all, a single human ship hovered in silence. The Vindicator. Earth's Dreadnought-class flagship bore fresh scars on its titanium hull. Plasma burns and kinetic strikes had torn chunks from its outer shell, and it still moved slow, deliberate, and filled. With vengeance, the ship wasn't alone. Behind it, thousands of warships of Earth's united front shadowed its flight. They had come when the Council demanded war, and humanity gave them exactly that, Admiral. Lyra O'Connell stood on the bridge of the Vindicator, her face lit by the soft red glow of damage indicators. Her eyes cold and still, studied the scattered enemy ships like a hawk over wounded prey. "Report," she said quietly. "Council fleet is down to 27% operational strength," her officer replied. "Most surviving ships are retreating. No central command. The Althon dreadnought tried to transmit a surrender 3 minutes ago, but someone jammed it." Lyra didn't react. "They voted for this," she said. Behind her silence, they thought humans were bluffing. They thought Ambassador Rourke's warnings were just noise. Now they know. Far away, in the ruins of the Council spire on Voltes Prime, fire burned across the skyline. The once great political heart of the galaxy where peace had been signed, broken and rebuilt over millennia, was now Ashdod Ambassador Jonathan Rourke, walked through the broken hall. His white uniform scorched, his shoulders squared with silent rage. His left arm was bleeding, wrapped in torn cloth, but his grip was firm on the metal briefcase he carried. Inside it was the last file from Earth's delegation. A single sentence burned in bold across the top. "We warned you, Counselor Zarn." The last remaining elder of the Tri-Spiral Dominion knelt beside a collapsed column. His breathing was labored. When he looked up at Rourke, his eyes weren't angry. They were tired. "Why? Why didn't you stop this?" he whispered. Rourke paused, placing the briefcase on the floor. "We did," he said quietly. "Again and again. For years." Exer shook his head weakly. "But it's war. You didn't hold back." Rourke agreed. "Because this time you aimed your weapons at Earth's children colonies. This time you killed unarmed envoys. This time, you broke your own laws." Zarn closed his eyes. "And now the stars weep." Back in orbit, Lyra watched as one last enemy cruiser, its engines sputtering, tried to flee. She nodded once. "Target acquired," her officer said. "No," she replied softly. "Let them run, ma'am. Let them tell the others. Let them speak of the fire that came from Earth. Let them remember. Across every human ship, a single message was transmitted on all open frequencies. Hostilities ceased. Council forces neutralized. Earth claims no territory. Oh, we only came to make it stop." It was a strange ending for a war that shattered star systems. No demand for tribute, no conquered planets. Only silence, and the ache of what had been lost in the deep void. A transmission echoed from Earth's high command. "To the surviving members of the Galactic Council, this war was not our choice. We are returning to our borders. If attacked again, we will not return with ships. We'll return with extinction." And then the humans vanished. Years passed. The galaxy rebuilt slowly. Peace was spoken in hushed tones, fragile and unsure. New leaders rose wiser, more cautious. But in every academy, on every council world, there was a required lesson, history carved into stone. The day the stars wept was the day Earth stood in silence, not out of mercy, but because there was no one left worth fighting.